gas prices, they're doing all right here. Take a look at this. Right now, today's average regular $3.27 a gallon. Last year was $3.54. The trend has been down, and if there's not a lot of pressure on gas prices, it seems to me, maybe you don't even start thinking about green or electric.
Right, it's true. I mean, price of gas, and then, of course, when you think about the cold weather and the impact it has on batteries, and we've all had cold weather across the whole country from as far south as Atlanta to the West Coast. I mean, everyone's thinking, you know what, if I've got an EV car, maybe this is not a great choice for me. And there's a lot of factors to be considered. I mean, depending upon where you live, the strong markets are Atlanta and San Francisco. Those are the real markets where EV cars are very strong. You don't see them in places like New York because, as you know, where are you going to plug it in, drag your cord across to your building? Unless you're someplace in a parking garage, you're going to have to pay for that connection in addition to your parking.
Talk to me about these batteries, though, and what's happening in this cold weather.
Oh, well, the cold weather, it actually can cut the battery life in half. And that's pretty typical. Batteries in any car struggle a lot when the weather's sub-zero anywhere in the Northeast. Where I am today, it was 2 degrees this morning. No car wants to start, and neither do we. So when you think about how it cuts the battery life in half, it'll definitely make an impact on maybe your daily drive. So that could affect the sale of an EV car.
You know, as a consumer and looking at value for money, right, one of the things you consider with a car, buying a new car, is depreciation. And let me tell you, these cars, the depreciation on them, amazing. Chevy Spark, after 5 years, it keeps 28% of its value. The Ford Focus, 20%. The Nissan Leaf, after 5 years, is worth 15% of what you paid for it. I mean, come on.
It's unbelievable.
Right?
Well,
do regular cars depreciate that much?
Well, no, regular cars don't depreciate that much. And you know that when you lease a vehicle, they tell you the depreciation. Your payment is based on what the car is worth down the road. Now, also, don't forget the Smart 4.2 in the EV form and the Fiat 500e. Those are cars that aren't worth nearly as much down the road because they're the resale value, the aftermarket on these type of cars is people don't want them. They think, you know what, I could go buy a new car and it would make more sense. So when you're looking at these cars going to auction, they are being bought, but they take a long time to get them off of used car lots. So, one thing, before you go buy a used EV car, there might be a good deal on it. You don't know how it's been maintained. If they didn't maintain the inverter fluid and all the maintenance, now there is no oil, but there's still other things, there's tires and so forth, that would be on you, and that could be very expensive for a new battery.
So what are you considering when you want to buy a new one, though? If you're out there and you're trying, you want to be good, you want to go green.
Right.
What are the issues you should think about?
Well, before you do anything, how many miles do you drive daily? And that you can figure out very easily on the vehicle you're driving. And if it fits into your range, you think, 40 miles, 30 miles a day, that might actually work round trip, and maybe you have to make a couple other stops. Keep that in mind. If that works for you, check with your insurance company, find out what the insurance rates are. They might be higher depending on if you live in Boston. It's going to be different if you're in Kansas City. So those are impacts on your budget as well. And then find out what your state as well as your municipality and maybe even your company offers, because the $7,500 tax credit is there. And what I tell people, when you figure that out, find out what your state and what your local and your company might offer. Also look at other options. There are some great cars out there that are diesel and gasoline powered that get equal or better fuel economy, and you have no range anxiety.
I have to tell you, this is a great point, because a lot of the regular old-fashioned cars go a long way on a gallon of gas. My car turns off when you sit at a red light, and then it restarts.
Start technology, yes.
I mean, there's all kinds of technology out there.
Right.
Go right ahead.
Right. You can buy a Ford Fiesta that gets 45 miles to the gallon. Wow. You can buy a VW Jetta that's diesel, a TDI, that gets 52 miles to the gallon. You can buy a little Fiat. They're awesome little cars, especially if you live in the city, if you want to keep it small. And you can still get great fuel economy into the 40s. So there's a lot of choices. How about the Nissan Versa Note? Get 43 miles to the gallon, and it's got plenty of back room space in the back seat. So, and storage, that may be something that you do lose with an EV car. Your trunk gets a lot smaller because the battery pack is back there. So
one more question.
Variables. Yeah.
One more question for you. You mentioned diesel, and I don't understand why we don't do more of that in this country, because you get great.
Well, that's almost a whole segment on its own. Diesel, when it's produced, a lot of it is shipped over to Europe because that's the way they want it. Europe is already converted. I have a diesel vehicle that I can go 700 miles on a tank, no problem. I love it. Fill up once a month. I used to fill up once a week with a gas-powered car. If you haven't driven the new clean diesel engines, they're wonderful. All the German manufacturers have it, as well as the Chevy Cruze. You can buy the 2-liter TD, reasonably priced, great American-built car with a diesel engine, and it's what they have in the Opal. So I would say, It's going to be a long time coming because a lot of your viewers and people out there say, diesel, I remember it as a kid, it was black and smoky. That's history.
It's
Today,
over. That's
it's
right.
clean, and it's absolutely cleaner exhaust pipe emissions than a gas-powered vehicle. So I would absolutely take one for a spin.
Yeah. Lauren, thanks for coming on. Great stuff. Great information. Appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
She's awesome. Okay, coming up, it's not just Mother Nature wreaking havoc on the nation's airlines. We'll explain. And next, as we look ahead to tomorrow's big jobs report, new numbers show just how bleak things are for working-age men. Details